official.
Hello
Boom.
and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very happy to be here this month for the monthly Moonrise Gathering, which is a space to pause, realign, and step into a new cycle together. So each month I have been weaving together three things: the astrology for the new moon, some moon medicine or an embodied practice of some type, all brought to you by a inspiring voice. So this is about clarity and alignment, not perfection. So there's nothing you really need to do tonight. Just show up as you are, take what resonates and leave the rest. Tonight, I am very excited to welcome my dear friend, Patrick Harrington. He is a yoga teacher, founder of Kindness Yoga in Denver, inventor of the Harrington Method, life coaching, and I consider him a very inspirational speaker. He works with men and he's a corporate change agent as well. We have done so many retreats together over the years, and he happened to marry one of my best friends. So he really is a big part of my family in the truest sense. So, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh my God. So great. Thank you, Una. So good to be here. I was so looking forward to this just because you and I have such good banter and we just have known each other over so many different life changes and challenges and I trust you. I trust your view on things and you've helped us to make sense of the world when it felt like it was so confusing, right? And really supported our family. One of the first things that I remember about where astrology and you really came together was when you did our family charts and you helped us to overlay the children and Cameron and I on top of each other. And so whether you have kids or you're in a partnership or with your parents or whatever, it was just so insightful to see how you would overlay them and how we would interact. And it's like been true. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Um,
Astrology
it's
is
crazy.
crazy. It is.
It's like it's written in the stars. Have you ever heard that?
Yes. Well, it's
You've
funny. I
heard that.
was at a festival event this past couple weekends ago, actually called Moon Bloom. And I ended up doing several family readings again. And they're these constellations, and they're really fascinating. That I'll just put it out there. If you're a parent and you don't know your child's moon sign, you actually don't know how they really like to be nurtured. So if
Mm,
your child has like a fire moon, you got to keep this, little one going. And if they're an air moon, you got to talk to them. If they're a water moon, you got to really soothe them emotionally. And if they're an earth moon, you got to give them structure and stability. And we end up having several conversations with parents, and there's always this incredible overlap in families of charts and how everyone's related and connected. It's really, really fascinating and really a perfect piece of understanding, Cancer energy and, the family and the heart of feeling and, also really community. Patrick and I did a retreat last month here in Colorado, and it felt like a family reunion,
yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
It was so good. One of the things I don't want to go past it is I'm at this point in my life, 53, and getting to spend time with my parents in a different stage of their life. And I can hear for myself that I really want you to do a reading for my parents and me. And so whether they're with us still or not, I always get so much relief when I learn some of the kind of the nuanced background of the how and why our relationship has been the way it is over time. It's like relief. It's like, oh my God, so that makes sense. Why this, and this. And I find me being able to kind of forgive myself and forgive them. And, we haven't done this reading, but just as you get to know them at this stage of life. So I highly suggest that. And that's something I
I'd
want to
love to.
ping you
And
on.
I'd love to. And I've been talking with Patrick's daughter, Gabriella. She got really into astrology too and wanting to
Yeah, she is.
understand her chart and everything. And it's really fascinating to see the new generation that coming in, they're super smart. They're really interested in next level stuff, which is really fascinating. And I'm living with my grandma right now. She's 96, and we always look at cycles in astrology. So Jupiter takes 12 years to go around, so the biggest planet, and she has been through 8 12-year cycles. That's
Wow.
something I know. And I'm 48, I'm half her age, so I've only been through, four of those. So
Wow.
it's fascinating, to watch all the cycles. You can do that in your own life. We can do that in your family. You can do it in the world events as well. So, here at Moonrise, what we do is we take a quick look at this month and what the energies are, and then we have a deeper experience with Patrick. So, just to give you an idea how the night will go, we will start in a moment. Patrick's going to guide us through meditation, so hopefully that will be a nice gift for you all. And then we'll talk a little bit astrology, and then we will have a bit of a exercise and conversation at the end. So we invite your participation. Sound
Yeah.
good? Awesome. So, Patrick, one of the things I think you're known for, and I know this about your chart, you have Neptune at the top of your chart. And
Hmm.
Neptune is the planet of inspiration, the higher chakras, our connection to spirit. And if anybody's been in Patrick's yoga classes, sometimes, they even call it a sermon in a sense because he starts channeling, he starts just flowing through them. So I just want to offer that as you bring us into this stage of meditation. There's a real access point that we have here to tap into some, other higher realms, if you will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's great. Yeah, it's funny to watch how that happens. Um, Getting out of your own way, getting out of my own way is the game. So thank you so much for that introduction. Is that my cue?
Yeah.
Action. All right, great. So if it's comfortable for you where you're at, you can close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. And just start to notice where you're holding any tension in your body. And as you go through this process of noticing the tension in your body, just notice the depth of your breath. And it's just feedback. If it's a shorter breath, if it's a longer breath, it's a relaxed breath, if it's a more anxious or tight breath. And the breath is this amazing partner to us. It's a partner in the sense that if you want to dance with it, you can. You can intentionally go outside and take a run or a fast walk and get it to follow you into that action. You could calm down and sit down and close your eyes and breathe deeply and take it by the reins, so to speak, and slow its pace. And you can forget. You can be driving and talking on the phone and changing the radio station and balancing your checkbook, and you're just being breathed. And by that nature, I feel like the breath is our access to spirit, to God, to energy, to transformation. And so the word inspire is a beautiful word when we look at the roots to, excuse me, conspire. I love the word conspire. I also love the word inspire, but conspire means to breathe together. And so when you think about conspiracy, What that's really pointing towards is a group of people coming together to breathe. And one of the ways that breathing shows up is through talking. And so we are at this moment conspiring together. We are breathing together. And so just feel your contribution to that with the next breath a little deeper through your nose and out of your nose. And we're going to take 6 slow breaths, full as feels available to you in this moment, nothing to force, and then empty to emptiness. And so if you haven't started already, take your next breath through your nose and just feel yourself fill up. And as you're going at your own pace, full to empty, I want you just to map inside your body with your imagination and just to imagine your torso to be this open space that you are inhaling into and filling up and exhaling out of and emptying. And as you take your next inhalation, just feel that all of the edges are moving outward as evenly as you can muster. And as you exhale, all of the edges are coming back in as evenly as you can. Inhale, and the back and the sides and the front and the up and the down are expanding. And exhale, feel how all of them are coming in towards the center point. And in these last 1 or 2 breaths, if you haven't finished already, see if you can experience the whole of you expanding and the whole of you drawing back into the center. And as we are here today conspiring, the conspirators, those that are breathing together, the big fear around conspiracy is held by the status quo. The status quo is suspicious of people coming together to breathe, whether that be for spiritual purposes, for dancing, for communing and talking about what's important or celebrating. So tonight, I encourage you to just acknowledge your own status quo, the way that you've been doing things that's worked up until now, simply as evidenced that you haven't left the body yet. On a biological level, what you've been doing has worked. You're still here. And so in one way, you're successful enough that it really takes effort to change or transform even your status quo because it's worked. And so I encourage you to look through the lens tonight of there's no need to. What we talk about tonight, how we commune together, how we conspire together, there's no have to about this. This is completely by choice. And the opportunity is for you to challenge your status quo and to notice where you can shift within this cycle, this Cancer cycle, what you can forgive, who you can forgive. Where is home? Really, where is home for you? To acknowledge it, to own it. And in whatever way we can conspire tonight to challenge and evolve our collective status quo, well, that's all we really can do. In our circle of influence, we are the common ingredient. And so, if we wish to see change from how things are going currently, the biggest lever that we have is shifting our own status quo. Take a deeper breath, really fill to the edges and experience that outward expansion, exhaling it as it feels time, releasing the tension from the roof of your mouth, from around your eyes. And as we sit in this moment, I ask you, are you willing tonight to stick with it as much as your time allows? But while you're here, will you be all in? Will you not multitask? Will you treat this moment as a co-conspirator, as something potentially life-changing for you, for me, for we? Are you willing? Because it really just takes your willingness. I know you want to, but wanting doesn't really change things. Are you willing to be changed by what you hear tonight? Are you willing to become more resilient because you are a bit more informed tonight? And lastly, bringing a hand to your chest, to your heart. Think of your close circle, the friends, chosen family that you think of as your inner circle. It might be one person, it might be a pet. But just take a moment and think of those spirits, those energies, those close in. Changing, shifting, transforming your status quo tonight will directly benefit these people. And outward from them to the people that they know, that are their inner circle, that are crisscrossing with you, and outward to them, and outward to them. And so let us tonight really get that the world we want to see begins with we. It has to start here with you and me. Take another full, slow breath in. And as you let it go, just feel any resistance or tension just melting away. You can pick it back up in an hour or so. But let tonight be a fertile field for what we can grow together. As you feel ready, there is no rush. You can come back with your eyes to our little temporary community.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
I love the me to we,
Mm.
the I, me to we. It's very, very relevant, actually, in terms of what we are going to be speaking about, actually. Um, just want to be clear, you all can see the moonrise screen, yes? Yes.
Yes, you're floating in outer space.
Okay. Um, okay, so I do want to share my screen with you to see this slide. So I just want to go ahead and do that a little bit differently. And just let me know if you do see the Cancer symbol now. Yes.
Got you.
So perfect to bring us into the heart, Patrick, because the Cancer symbol, it is a water sign and it's, the fourth sign in the zodiac. So where Aries initiates something, Taurus grounds something, Gemini connects. Cancer is the first sign where we come into the emotional body and feel. The symbol of the crab, that hard shell on the outside, soft and vulnerable on the inside, is about the courage really to feel our feelings. And it may even move a little sideways. People, when they are having intense emotions, sometimes they don't want to head on direct, go into it directly. They may kind of skirt at it in a sideways fashion. But this energy is very much about that first emotional connection that we have with our family, our mothers, our home. And yes, that does extend afterwards to, our siblings and our family and our community. But it very much is associated with the home and knowing, that love and how you're loved at the beginning of your life is one of the most powerful forces, that family bond. And, not everyone has a good family bond growing up. So sometimes they end up having more of a chosen family where they get to feel that bond. But this is about I feel, I care, I belong, I lead with my heart, and I show up for the things and the people that I care about. There's a couple Cancer archetypes that you can imagine when you're thinking about the energy of Cancer: the nurturer or the mother, the one who really gives and feeds and tends and takes care of, someone who can't take care of themselves. The empath or the feeler. So, somebody who is known as a very feeler type. They might be the type who cries or when, something's sad, or they love a sad. Who's the type that cries? Exactly. They love a sad movie. They feel all their feelings. They're willing to let the emotional realm out. Um, and may even be a little bit intuitive in feeling other people's feelings as well. The caregiver, who may not necessarily be a family member, but is someone who shows up and sacrifices themselves for another person and is really willing to do that because they know that that other person is in need and they're willing to be in service in that sense. I think of a friend that I know who he used to call himself a mama bear. Okay, so he's a man, right? But he took care of everybody and had that mama bear archetype. So it isn't necessary that you be a woman to have a mama bear, energy. That mama bear energy can come through in many ways. So I just want to have you, check in with yourself. Who do you know that's like this? Maybe yourself or somebody in your family. And maybe, asking yourself, where might you need to bring a little more nurturing in this cycle for yourself? What are some of the feelings that maybe you need to be feeling this cycle? And make sure that you're giving your attention and your heart to things that you care about. Cancer element and mode. So we talked about this is a water element. The mode is cardinal. Cardinal means initiating or beginning. So it is the beginning of summer that we have in Cancer. Um, Again, this is the emotional, intuitive feeling element. And it really connects us to our most deepest, heart's longing. Fixed Scorpio is more fixed energy, which holds and goes deep. And Pisces is more mutable and can change. But cardinal water, it sort of moves or opens or says, let's do this together. Let's be willing to and have the courage to open our heart and feel. So there's a real initiating of care energy with this Cancer element. and being willing to open the heart and feel the feelings that come through, when we care about something, you know. When we care is when we are willing to feel. Cancer is ruled by the moon, the planet of emotion, and that changes every 2.5 days. So the moon typically governs more of our inner world, that gooey inside that not everybody gets to see all the time. And so it's also, the keeper of the memories and the special nostalgic things, right? So like a mother, or a nurturer, one who kind of knows how to care, with unspoken terms, if you will. Um, so Cancer energy and Cancer people are very emotionally intelligent typically, and they're usually listening into those needs that aren't necessarily spoken or said outright. They kind of feel on a much subtler emotional plane or level. So, again, I really want to invite you on this new moon is like, what does your heart need now that perhaps you've been kind of listening to it quietly whispering? Maybe there's something that you could be willing to really acknowledge that has been wanting to come through on a much kind of more subtler level at this point. There's something called the Sabian symbols. There's someone who channeled an image for every single degree of the 360-degree zodiac. And on this moon, we're at 22 Cancer. And the symbol is really interesting. It's a young woman awaiting a sailboat. And there this is the image I found of her. She's on the dock, she's got her bag and her hat and she's ready to go, she's ready. So it comes along with this energy of sort of like longing for the thing that's coming. I'm ready for a big trip. I'm ready for something to come and to go on a journey. It's a very interesting symbol, especially because when we talk about the energy of the full astrology, which we will hear in a minute, it makes a lot of sense in terms of the cycle that we're in. So it's something to be aware of, this sort of expectancy energy, like what's coming now? Like what's coming next? And what are we sort of waiting for? Um, and not necessarily, some of it could be unknown, but there also could be aspects to this as something you've been creating and it's almost ready. It's not a passive waiting, was what I mean by that. It's an active, I got my bag and I'm ready to go, a readiness. The heart's prepared. And this energy, like the beloved comes through the wind. Isn't that a beautiful feeling? Like you're like, oh, comes through the wind, So it's like the heart is prepared and the sails are ready to catch. And this is really a vulnerable place to be in, right? Packed and ready, but not quite sure what's coming, So it's a really beautiful longing of the heart, I feel. And so, like, what is your longing if you're aware of it now? And if not, that could be certainly a question to journal about. What is there a dream there that you've been dreaming? And are you willing to like name it? Are you willing to like pack your bags and get on the dock and get ready for get ready for it? So it's really a beautiful energy, I feel. When we look at the astrological chart of the new moon Cancer, you can see here, I know it might be small on your screen, but we've got the sun in Cancer, the moon in Cancer, right along with it. Here is Mercury, which is the planet of communication and information and telling stories, but it is retrograde. Okay. And when we have a planet that's retrograde, that's more of a review or a look back or a look inward energy. And I do find it pretty interesting because this new moon is the last um, new moon that we will have before all of the planets basically move out of water completely and into fire and air. So this is a very interesting moment because our next new moon is actually a new moon solar eclipse in Leo. And the nodes of the moon that govern the eclipses have been in Pisces and Virgo for the past 2 years. And we've also had Saturn in Pisces for the past 2 years, and Neptune was in Pisces for the last 14 years. We've had a lot of water, not to mention Jupiter was in this water sign the whole last year. So we've had like a lot of water the past couple years, and it is about to be over. So this feels very interesting to me to have this almost like a look. It's not even a look, it's a feel. You're on that dock, you're waiting for this next new chapter, and it's time to check in with yourself. How do you feel? Right? How do you feel looking over the past couple years, or maybe even just the last year? And, what do you want to feel as we move into this next two chapter, whether you know what's coming or not? I think that's one of the interesting things about life. You can't always pick things, and astrology would even, reiterate this fate and fortune. You don't get to pick when you're born, when you die, and who you fall in love with. But you certainly can decide, I am going to choose an identity. I'm going to choose to be like this. I'm going to choose my priorities. I'm going to choose my values. I'm going to even choose when you wake up in the morning, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to have a great day. How we program the mind, body, feelings is very important, not to suppress things. We got to feel everything fully. But it is a kind of thing where, that question of how do we want to feel moving forward, I think is pretty important. We also have something going on here called the Great Alignment, or what astrologers are calling Barbault's Basket. Now, we have lots of planets going around all the time, right? And they all have different cycles. But this particular basket is, as we're calling it, is happening and being called one of the most significant astrological events of the century that's happening this week. Now, does that mean something major is going to happen this week? Maybe. But what we know about major outer planet, things is that they happen and they take their time to unfold, especially as we look at, Pluto, which takes 250 years to go around, is in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign, Pluto's the planet of transformation and rebirth, and is in the sign of Aquarius, which rules the people and technology. So 250 years ago, right, we had our own rebellion here in the United States, and we signed a Declaration of Independence where we set up a new set of parameters for the people, right? And we're having that 250-year anniversary, if you will. There's other things that have happened during Pluto and Aquarius have been things like the French Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution. So we can sort of imagine how that energy has shaped a lot. I personally, and most of us would agree that we're in the technological revolution at this time, and we are seeing a lot of advancement of technology at this time. We have Neptune, the planet of spiritual vision, and in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. The last time that Neptune was in Aries was the Civil War. And I say that because it's so important. This to me is like spiritual warrior energy. Can you imagine being at a time in history when you were one of the people who said, you know what? Slavery is immoral and we're going to fight for it. That's a big moral value to then put, lives on the line for. And it's one that shaped our history and is an important piece of even where we are today. So there's an aspect to this of having a type of morality and a willingness to stand up for that, which I think is fascinating. We have the planet Uranus is in Gemini, and Uranus is like revolutionary thinking and ideas and new awakenings. And, the past several times we've had Uranus in Gemini, lots of inventions have occurred and the airplanes were invented. And, the last time was in World War II, and we did invent the atom bomb, which you have to agree in history is a big deal. There's been a lot of advancements of ideas as well. And we also, Jupiter is a part of this basket. It moves a little bit slower, or excuse me, faster than all the other planets. It's in Leo, which has to do with king's energy or royalty or the inner child and our sovereignty. And so it's very interesting when I break down this basket a little bit more, just to see these planets, see how you can see that this is like a little basket. And it is made up of trines, which are very flowing energy fields, and little sextiles, these ones around the outside edge, that are also mostly flowing. They take a little bit of work to keep going, but the trines are usually very flowing. And one opposition between the Jupiter and the Pluto. And what I think is fascinating about that is Jupiter and Pluto are often associated with wealth, power, and money and the inequality between those. So we know we have a lot of disparity in that realm right now, right? There's a very high type of ruling class, and there's a lot of people who want to also feel very sovereign, right? These other little aspects of these planets are really interesting because in history, when we also look at the connections that these have made, incredible things have happened with Uranus and Neptune. The last time they were together, we had the beginning of the World Wide Web. So this completely changed our way of communication, what was available to our minds, how we were able to speak and communicate, and what access we had to information. I mean, that changed the face of, and this was back in, the dial-up days. That was, remember, you had to do the little dial-up and making that noise. That was still a go revolutionary moment for everybody. And, now look at us, we got these phones and we're, totally clicked in. But it's interesting because Neptune can at once bring us together and also allow us to check out. So we have to see technology as a tool, right? And not a way to just zone. Jupiter, Uranus, the last one of the couple times in history when they were in connection, there was a moon landing, not kind of a big deal. The Hubble telescope was launched, incredible opportunity to see the universe in a different way. So new discoveries, quantum leaps. I mean, we're talking about, the forefront of medicine that we're at right now with all the different peptides and all the ways that we're understanding the body. I think we're going to see a lot of advancements there as well. Uranus and Pluto They were back together at the beginning of 1960 in the 60s. So we're talking about the hippie movement, the civil rights movement, women's liberation movement, the birth of the space age. I mean, this was in a revolutionary time when people were also not into war. They were protesting against war at this time and experimenting with things like psychedelics, etc. And now these planets are in a trine, and you can see how that has shifted where we have things like psychedelic assisted therapy now, right? So you can see how that beginning of the birth of those two coming together was a concept. And now we've advanced to something where this is actually being put in place to help, my dear friend Kevin in Colorado who got psilocybin legalized, was because he was a war veteran who said, this cured my PTSD, guys. This is not just a party drug. So it's very interesting to see the seed moments and then how that's advancing at this time. The Jupiter Neptune, that happens a little more regularly. The last time was in 2022, I believe. Spiritual awakening happens with this creative expansion. One of the things I associate with Jupiter Neptune is that movie Avatar. The first movie Avatar was launched into Jupiter Neptune. And like, remember that world where it was just so beautiful and creative and like it was so sparkly and like, like wow, like a whole new world. Like this is amazing. This spiritual, creative, like expansive energy. And so, with all of this sort of coming together, you can see why, it's got astrologers' attention. These outer planets, I don't know of any astrologer who knows when this has ever happened before. So we're literally standing on the dock of humanity's moment right now. And like, dare I say this, but like, there's a whole possibility of a techno-fascist holy war still to come. I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. And that may still happen. The powers that be are probably going to keep fighting tooth and nail for these things. And I know what I'm going to be doing, which is what, Patrick's meditation was about, coming back home to my breath, to my body, to my own human innate ability to connect with what I know on a personal level with, connect with my higher self, to connect with the part of me that knows that love wins, guys. Like love wins. Okay. So there may be still a bunch of turmoil and drama yet to come on planet Earth. I'm not saying just because we have the alignment, everything's going to be all peachy. I do think it is the beginning of a pretty big chapter where there is maybe a return to a better equality between those that are in charge and the people, and the advancement of these technologies in such a way that they help and promote humanity, right? Rather than detract from it and use up all our resources in the process. And, I am not like I'm like a definite positive, I'm a half glass full person for sure. I'm here for it. I think this is a very interesting time to be alive on planet Earth. And I'm here, and why I do things like this is to invite the leaders and the folks that are tapped in, to keep showing the light and the way. This is a time where we need more than ever people to stand up for what is morally right, and to say, we don't want to just pollute our earth so we can have robot technology. We want to have more balance in terms of the way that our systems are being used, not, instead of against us. We want systems to be for humanity, not against. So those are some of the big things that, it comes through when I'm looking at this stuff. And I think we kind of are at this interesting precipice because we are about to move into all this fire and air, which means a lot of action and a lot of change. And, we're waiting for that ship at the dock. And you never know what your journey is going to be like. You think you got your itinerary planned, you got your bags packed, you think you know what's going to happen on the journey, but you never know. But the parts you do have control over, right, is how you choose to spend your time, your energy, your money, and who you choose to spend your time, money, and energy with. And with Pluto and the North Node in Aquarius, I do believe that community, like-minded community, spiritual community, creative community, this is a time when we have to come together and say, we the people want this. And so it's, yeah, I think I'm actually going to leave it at that. Patrick, any thoughts?
Oh my God, so many. Um, it's first of all, one of the main things that I'm working with men on in uh, every single case is this idea of structure and flow, and that these are archetypes, and that we could call it masculine and feminine. We could call it structure and flow. We call it yin and yang. But that there's resiliency in having both, and that many of us, our status quo is rigid and reactionary. That those are the kind of the way that it shows up, and that right now there's something about like discipline, right? Structure. The shadow of that is rigidity.
Yeah.
When discipline is over indexed, it becomes rigid. And so, where is it that our discipline around doing things that are good for us or the way that we see the world has lost its agility, has lost its ability to be structure, but that's not brittle?
Mhm.
And then when we get that discipline in there, there's this conversation about flow. And do we have space in our life for flow? And so I just love that how you've given me a structure to not be rigid about. The revolution's coming tomorrow, right? Like it's not like I'm not that, but okay, my head's up. My wow, this is a broader structure that you're pointing to that have a lot of markers over history that have shown up with this set of circumstances. Coincidence? Yes. The cause of? Maybe, right? Maybe that is what's causing these events over history. And so I find myself just kind of relaxing into this structure that you've provided, and just like, why not trust that? Why not just trust that that's the case? It sounds like being open to it, being preparing within it was just a good idea anyway.
I
You know,
personally, from knowing astrology, I personally feel less anxiety
that's right. Me too.
knowing
It's,
how the cycles move, and we've been through this before, and not
you
this
showed us a map.
exactly. Yeah, we've seen a few of these things before.
Yeah. And as I spend more cycles in the body, I'm watching my own cycles and how I return to things, and how there are these little tiny waves. Like if you're at Cherry Creek Reservoir or some little lake, it's just like lap, 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 lap. And these are these day to day, minute to minute cycles, these little tiny waves. And then a little bit bigger ones that come in, and those are maybe week to week, and then a little bit. But way out in the ocean, there are these rollers that you just are like moving the ocean up 20 feet and dropping it down, and it's a massive thing that is coming across this huge space. And when I hear, 250 years, that's a huge rolling wave that's moving. And what a gift to have some insight to be with. And so one question that came up for me during this, I'm curious about in astrology. I was just thinking, okay, I got to be here next month because I want to. I've added this around Cancer, and is it my goal as a Cancerian sun sign anyway that I could be listening to you next month to put that planets or signs way of being or structure or benefits in my bag, and that one day I go around all 12 and I'm like I'm more whole as a person because I'm kind of borrowing from each. Is that kind of the goal? Is this like I have this starting point where I've got maybe I'm a few steps ahead in the race around emotions, and that I want to kind of evolve myself by hearing these different things each month to become? Is that the goal? Is there a goal?
No, I don't think there's a goal. I think that astrology is a language tool that
Hmm.
gives you the secrets of the universe. So I don't know why more
Woo!
people don't want to know that.
Hmm.
But many people do, and it certainly has become more popular in recent times. You know, you used to just be able to, read a horoscope in the back of the paper. Now you go on Instagram and everybody's talking about astrology, which is really cool and also part of the changing times in terms of the way information dissemination happens now.
Yeah,
And I think that's only going to accelerate in such a way. But I think the goal of astrology is sort of, I see it as twofold. One is first to get to know your birth chart, the moment that you were born, which I call your cosmic blueprint, and
mm,
really understand. I see it as like these were the cards that you were dealt at the time you were born, and to know what cards you're holding basically. And
yeah,
not everybody gets the Michael Jordan hand.
yeah.
Not everybody can be Michael Jordan. I'm not, I could, even if I wanted to be, a pro basketball player, like it's probably not going to happen, guys.
Don't
But
sell yourself short.
But the more I learned about myself and my chart and who really am, how I am built, I wouldn't choose that anyway. I chose things that were in alignment with who I am and what I like and what my chart says. So that's the first part is understanding yourself. The second part is understanding the cosmic cycles.
Right.
It's like, do I need an umbrella this month or what? It's like those cycles, and those cycles are ever going and changing. And like I said, we're talking in 250 years. And one of those cycles, their conjunction was every 498 years. So we're talking in major cosmic cycles. But the moon, is that monthly cycle that you can very much track. And
Yeah.
actually, being that you are a Cancer, I would suggest you check in with your moon
Mm,
more often, the new moons and the full moons to understand that monthly cycle.
yeah.
Many women are on that, and I'd say a lot of Cancer men are even more tuned into that monthly cycle.
Hmm.
So it's understanding where that falls in your chart, so, to understand which house your Cancer house is. So, if you're a Cancer rising, this new moon is in your first house of self and identity. So, this may be a time when you're going, okay, I'm kind of feeling like I might need to make a change around my identity here this month. That could be a possibility. If
Mm,
you were a Capricorn rising and Cancer's in your seventh house, this may activate your seventh house of relationships. See, so there is a way that you can understand how and where that does affect.
amazing. It's amazing. Um, I'd love to ask that. I think that this is a really juicy question for us to talk about, which is what is your longing?
Mm.
And I think it could be fun to break up into four groups of two and just give a few minutes for number one, for you to meet somebody that you may or may not know, and just to take 2 minutes each to share a little bit about what are you longing for. I think that would be really fun. And then to come back and for a few people that want to share what that is, we can kind of hear what that is. And yeah, that I think that could be really fun.
Who's up for a breakout room? Give us a little thumbs up. Okay, awesome. So we're going to do a little breakout, and the question is, what is your longing?
Yeah, what is your longing? This idea of like, I mean, we've all been sitting, waiting at some point, expectantly to be picked up for something to go somewhere. And so what are we longing for at this time? I think is a really great question.
Yeah,
And there's seven of us now, so we'll need to do maybe you sit out, Una, and you can throw me in with somebody.
yeah, I can do that.
Now you have to answer those questions by yourself.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right, I am going, oh wait, I'm gonna assign automatically. Oh no, that doesn't work. I gotta,
And so when we do this, one person, just whoever has their phone handy, be the timer for 2 minutes. And you just set the timer and you can just, when it goes off, you can just show it to your person. The person finishes up what they're saying, and then the other person will begin. And so maybe it's 5 minutes on the timer total, Una, so that there's a minute for transition between the people talking.
okay, 5 minutes. I will do that, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
All right.
Welcome back, Amy.
Mm,
How are you?
Good. I didn't even think about this until this conversation, but today is the 28th anniversary of when I started my company.
Wow,
And it is
congratulations.
preparing for what's next is really where I'm at. So kind of interesting timing.
So your company is having a Saturn return, it's called. So it's a big milestone to make it that long in business, of course, but
Oh,
it's what happens. Saturn takes 29 years or so to go around. So, and at 2.5 years in a sign. So between 27 and 29 is a Saturn return. Yeah.
oh, great.
Yeah, you must. So that's a big achievement. Congrats. You made it to the top of the mountain, basically. Yeah.
Were you
Um,
standing or crawling
well,
to get at the top of the
I'm
mountain?
crabbing.
Or you're a Cancer, aren't you, Amy?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, that's
oh,
right. Is there
wow.
any other Cancers? Me?
I'm Cancer rising.
Oh my gosh, those little pinchers. That's what you show us. Give you, give you. How cool. That was awesome. I loved communing with Stephanie. Yeah, I'd love to just give everyone a little chance to give a snippet. And before we do, I'm gonna shift it up a little bit. Um, if you don't mind just closing your eyes for a moment, and let's just imagine that the boat just pulled up to the dock. So just take a deep breath, and that your longing just arrived. How are you feeling? Once the thing that you've been longing for occurs, describe that in your mind, in your body. You can you can use words that speak to somewhere in your body. You can use words to speak to somewhere in your mind. But in a moment, when we come out, just we don't have to talk about the details of what's going to happen, but let's just talk about how you're going to feel once that occurs. And whoever's ready to start, you can just come off mute and just take 30 seconds and share with us. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. If it's 5 seconds, that's fine. But just share, how do you feel in all the ways?
I feel accomplished. So I just have that word. It's like you made it. You're there.
Hmm. Hmm. And when you're accomplished, what else do you feel?
Complete is the other word that came through, where it's like, yeah, there's nothing more to do. And just enjoy yourself now.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I got calm and satisfied when we were talking about mind and body. And then I also got aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the boat comes and the thing is here, everything's on the right plane again.
Mhm.
Yeah. Beautiful, Stephanie. Awesome. Laura, do you mind going next?
No, I don't mind. I think, well, the first word that came to mind was relieved, but also just and also surrender. I just because the boat kind of is my longing, I think. It's just to have this boat and just get on it and go, this is it. This is what I've been longing for and waiting for. Just like sail me away. I don't know where, but this is where I belong. Because my longing really is about is place and home. Home with a capital H is home, finding where I feel at home. Besides here, or accepting that I am home because
Yeah.
it's me, it's my body. But to have that feeling and that sense of I am home. So I guess that's the feeling is I am
Love
home.
it. That's rich. Thank you, Laura. Amy, would you mind going next?
The feeling I get is gratitude, that my life has delivered me to this moment.
Beautiful. Yeah, I get that. That feels very complete as you say it. Thank you. Michelle?
Freedom. And I will support the relief and yeah, freedom and support that I have this other vessel show up for me, and anywhere I ever had, it's gone. That I know that this is how universe is showing up for me as support, and I am now free because I am transmuting what I long for.
Mm, mm. Amen. Alexis?
I would feel relief. And also, I want to say maturity, but I don't think that word like embodies what I mean. And I loved how she said freedom, but it's almost like I've matured into a better thinking just to better myself. I don't know I don't know the exact
Is
word.
wisdom, is that
I like that.
like it
I'm
feels
not all
wise?
wisdom, but I'm making my way there.
Selectively wise. I like that. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think for me the feeling was relief and safety. Like there was a peace and safety that I was kind of surprised by. Like if what I'm longing for is here, I actually feel kind of secure. Um, so I wasn't expecting that. And so now the homework from this is that we go to these feelings as often as we can, and that it becomes an intrinsic action, not an extrinsic. So it's not outside in, it's not evidenced in, it's generated from within. And so we start to practice getting better and better at feeling free, at feeling home, at feeling wise, as feeling gracious, and so on, aligned, accomplished, complete. And that we begin to recognize that we are the source for feeling the things that we're waiting for. And as like attracts like is one of the laws of the universe that we can pay attention to, being a vibrational match to what you're wanting starts inside. Actually starts, maintains, and ends inside. And so however you can do that, whether that's 20 minutes of intentional meditation every day, where the game is to deepen with density and frequency those feelings, and then letting it go. And if you were to practice that during this time, the way that Una has talked to me off in preparation for this and watching different videos on this time, you're getting kind of bolstered and buoyed up by the water underneath you. It's kind of lifting us. All ships rise with a rising tide. That's what's happening right now. And your vision is an integral part, and bringing up those feelings and getting used to it so that you're not surprised by those feelings. You're actually accustomed to them and welcoming. Yeah, that feels really present.
I think it's really important and valid just to name this, because I was speaking to it a little bit at the beginning, which is, you don't get to pick how you feel when you're having a big feeling coming up. And I think it's very important to feel your feelings fully and not suppress feelings, right? But what you're speaking about, Patrick, is a bit of an advanced technology around human consciousness and emotion, where we actually do, co-create our thoughts, feelings, and reality. And this is not like woo woo, like the nature of the universe is made up of our thoughts and atoms. And it's so fascinating because at other times in history, for example, one of the times that Pluto was in Aquarius, I always get these two mixed up, whether it was Galileo or Copernicus discovered that actually the sun is the center of the solar system.
Hmm.
And it took like 200 years before people believed that, became truth. I don't think we're moving that slow nowadays. But, even something like the invention of a microscope where, oh, now we're made up of cells.
Mm.
We're on the brink of, I think, discoveries and information like that, but we know that there's this whole quantum field that exists that we can plug into with a choice around a feeling.
Yes.
And when we consciously do that, we are in that's like what I want to be doing the next couple of years. Whatever's going on in the news, y'all, this is what I'm going to be doing, is being with other people who are willing to co-create the evolution of human consciousness through our thoughts, feelings, and actions.
That's right. Yeah. And it's as easy and as hard as challenging your status quo.
Mhm.
And really noticing that you are driving feelings on a day-to-day basis by reaction, by habit, in response to what you're ingesting in media, in news, in social media, in the friends that you spend time with. And so there's something about this that is really a reinvention of what you're taking in, and how you're metabolizing it, and what are you generating on purpose on a day-to-day basis, so you become more resilient. Because the news doesn't seem right now like it doesn't seem like they're starting to report more good news. It seems like they're reporting more bad news. And even if there is more good news, we're not actually getting that. And so using the outside as the metronome for how you're going to feel is a tough choice. And so within our circles, we can become this group right here. We can become the metronome that's paying attention and attracting. May it be so. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate your wisdom and sharing. And I know that you practice this in your life. You're not just talking about it. This
Yeah.
is what you actively practice and meditate and teach and coach on, and as evidenced, by your beautiful family.
My freaking life. It's
Your life
unbelievable.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that,
Yeah. Thank you.
with you. If you all want to go deeper, Patrick offers coaching at the harringtonmethod.com, and lives in Costa Rica. So you could always go visit him down
Hmm.
there. Um, and
Yeah. So Cameron, my wife, is just about to launch a school for peri menopause and menopause. And she's going to be leading a retreat at some point in the future. So all the menopausal and premenopausal and perimenopausal and postmenopausal and all the pausals can come together and be in community about whether you're there yet, whether you're in the middle of it, where you're on the other side of it. She has a beautiful framework that she's put together that's been super helpful for her, and she doesn't have all the answers, and so it's literally a chance to conspire and to discuss this. For me, I'm going to be launching a school as well for men, the Resilient Men Project, and it's really for any men in your life that that are ready to start the second half of their lives. And so I'm no longer coaching women. Cameron's focusing on that and on you beautiful souls here. And so yeah, if there are men in your life that you'd like to make an introduction, the easiest way to do that is to reach out to me on email and put us both in a group email and just introduce the three of us together. Me, the man, and yourself, and let me take it off your hands. And that can be really effective. So
amazing.
I would be honored if that occurs. And of course, thrilled to see all of you tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Patrick. Everyone give
Yeah.
Patrick a big hand for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was really great.
So fun to see you all.
Yeah.
All
Amazing. We'll have an incredible new moon. And, what are you going to put in your basket, everybody? You're going on a trip. Love to having you all. If you want to know more about where this is happening in your chart, reach out. I do offer readings, and happy new moon. Have a great
Amen. Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
both so much.
facilitating, Una.
Send love to Cameron,
Bye.
I
please.
sure will, Laura. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye.